All content, medical opinions, and any other health information on this channel will not be considered for informational purposes only and for a specific diagnosis or treatment plan. All the contents are collected from various health-related website, blog site and forum site and also from the expert. Use of this site and the information contained herein does not create a doctor-patient relationship. Ask your own doctor's direct advice regarding your own health or any health-related questions or issues. Breastfeeding24 will not take any responsibilities for any wrong information.
Breastfeeding mom shares her heartbreaking story.
This first time mom did not know her baby was not getting any milk during its first 3 days of life, and she is opening up about her extremely rare but devastating experience. It took mom Jillian Johnson 5 years to share the story of her son Landon's death, principally as a result of she was in most pain once losing him, and conjointly as a result of she feared being judged. However, currently Johnson is the gap up, in an exceedingly weblog post for Fed is Best, concerning however Landon died from dehydration simply days once his birth, and the way she had no plan he was truly starving to death. She hopes her expertise, whereas passing rare, can save different families from looking at the painful loss she did. During Johnson's physiological state, the first time mom and her husband educated themselves in an attempt to be the most effective oldsters attainable. We have a tendency to already. Some of we thought. She has written in her post, adding, every category and book was engaged toward breastfeeding and the way it is so vital if you wish a healthy kid. Landon was born in an exceedingly baby-friendly hospital. What this implies is everything is engaged toward breastfeeding. The lactation consultants are available and see that he had an excellent latch and was doing fine. However, there was one WHO mentioned, I'll have a tangle manufacturing milk. The explanation she gave was as a result of I used to be diagnosed with PCOS, polycystic sex gland syndrome, and it absolutely was simply more durable for ladies with secretion imbalances to provide milk. But Landon cried all the time, too. Johnson says, he cried unless he was on the breast and that I began to nurse him unceasingly. Landon suckled regarding 9 hours throughout his first day of life. Nurses told her this was referred to as cluster feeding. Once regarding 2 days, he'd lost nearly 10 pc of his birth weight. Note, it's traditional for breastfeeding babies to lose up to 10 pc of their weight once birth, and though Johnson distressed Landon wasn't obtaining enough milk, she assured the medical professionals around her that everything was okay. Except it wasn't. As Johnson recounts in her raw post, Landon was starving, virtually. But 12 hours once the new oldsters took their son home from the hospital, he was but 3 days old, he went into pathology as a result of dehydration. And the simplest recommendation I used to be given by one of his intensive care unit doctors whereas he was on life support is certain breast is best, however, follow with the bottle. Johnson says, adding, this method you recognize your baby has eaten up enough. If solely I may return in time. However she could not, and baby Landon all over up demise once many day on life support. Rachel Preet, MD, a pediatrician with Golf Player Hospital for Kids in the city, told oldsters.com that this is often associate extremely rare case. Most of the time, doctors, nurses, and lactation consultants will facilitate properly navigate new moms through various breastfeeding challenges, together with low milk provide. In fact, most babies will thrive on the even a little quantity of milk, a thick, focused fluid that's typically golden in color and usually comes in throughout late pregnancy. And it's terribly traditional for a milk to require a couple of days to return it. Dr. Preet advises new moms to seam for physical milk to create certain baby is obtaining fed. Moms ought to be ready to hand express some milk, she said. A minimum of a teaspoon, or 5 milliliters, per feeding is enough. She adds it will take 3 to 5 days for a mom's milk provide to return in. New parent? Check in for our oldster's daily babies news sheet. R.A. Brown, MD, FAP, founding father of 411 pediatric medicine told oldsters.com that while uncommon, some ladies don't turn out enough for a milk or mature milk because of a spread of underlying causes. I am pro-feeding, plain and easy. I simply wish oldsters to coach themselves and stop shaming one another for a way they opt to feed their babies, Johnson told oldsters.com. There are square measure warning signs that a baby could also be dehydrated, which oldsters ought to remember of. These include: mom cannot categorical any for a milk or breast milk. Baby is showing signs of hunger and near being happy, like inconsolable crying. The on top of signs exist together with no dirty, wet diapers and weight loss. Dr. Preet notes that cluster feeding is traditional, however baby ought to even have periods of feeling happy and sleeping. Oldsters ought to seek for 1 pee and 1 poop on a primary day once birth, 2 pees and 2 poops on the second day, and so on, she says. Dr. Preet advises oldsters to follow up future day post-hospital discharge together with your pediatrician. WHO will assess baby's association standing. And if you're fighting to breastfeed, she says, remember any breast milk is best than none. She recommends speech or pediatrician to debate if supplementing with formula is correct for you and your baby. Finally, don't be afraid to Kindle facilitate. We square measure heartsick for this mama and applaud her for sharing her painful story,